Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. In future videos, we'll continue to talk about the lack of transparency under Gary Caruana's leadership that include political patronage, cronyism, pay-to-play politics, wasteful, unethical, and misuse of taxpayer funds, non-disclosure agreements, failure to follow certain laws and policies, and the millions of dollars in lawsuit settlements. However, this week, a very important public safety issue must be discussed. On July 10th of this year, 2025, local news media outlets reported that multiple emergency sirens in Winnebago County were not functioning. And on July 15th, 2025, a follow-up story was published. I believe it was WIFR News was one of them. So, kind of looked into this a little bit to find out what was going on. A little background, the intent of these emergency sirens is to warn our residents that are outside away from any other communications of any life-threatening emergencies such as life-threatening weather emergencies, a terrorist attack, or a threatening condition that could require some sort of an evacuation. Now, not everyone has a cell phone or a reliable cell signal. They could be watching TV, they could be streaming services, they could have sent their kids outside and they know if the emergency sirens go off, you need to get home so you can give you further direction in case we need to do anything. So these sirens are very important to all of our urban and rural communities. Perfect example, over the 4th of July weekend, we saw how deadly and how quickly emergencies can happen with the Texas flooding, where substantial loss of life occurred and every means possible to warn the public is needed. And I believe that resulted in they have no emergency sirens, they had poor cell phone signal in those areas. Perfect example of everything that's going on right here in Winnebago County. So there is computer software that can be and is easily monitored in real time by the sheriff's office personnel that displays the sirens, the emergency sirens that are working and ones that are not, that show red and green. It's no surprise to Gary Caruana that these sirens were not working. He even acknowledged that in the news article, quoted in the article. We're 100% aware that we have some issues with some of the sirens. We understand they need maintenance. So this is not like, we're surprised about. That's a pretty lackluster excuse or response when we're dealing with public safety. So this was known all the way back and probably way before this, October 24th of 2024. This issue was brought in front of the county board that 46 of the 79 emergency sirens were not working throughout the county. So the county board did their due diligence and they approved the money by unanimous vote by all members that were present to immediately fix the sirens that were not working and approve a 5-year preventative maintenance plan, which they did. It was assigned American Signal Corporation is the company that they approved to get this done. Now, once they did their job, where the failure is the current leadership of the sheriff. It's his responsibility because the ESDA director, Emergency Services Disaster Director, falls under Gary Caruana's leadership by county ordinance. He's the one that hires the directors, by the way, that probably weren't even, I know there was no job posting for. We're now in the middle of July of 2025, 9 months, mind you, after the county board did their job and signed the agreement and released the money for these to be fixed, and they're still not fixed. That's really unacceptable and poor leadership. It took a citizen in Pecatonica area to go to the news, bring it to the news, and for them to publish it. That's the only reason why there's going to be any sense of urgency now, because Gary looks bad. This is typical MO of the leadership of Gary Caruana. Again, another example of the failed leadership under Gary Caruana. I will say this. Our citizens of Winnebago County deserve a lot better with their public safety. It is time to have a career-oriented law enforcement professional that understands the issues and will be present on a daily basis to lead our next generation here in Winnebago County. Safety through experience. You will have your word heard November 3rd of 2026. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me at donbarcelona@gmail.com, and I'll make arrangements to answer your questions or contact you back.